was a moment when games stopped telling you where to go. No objective markers, no corridors, no boundaries you could feel. Just a world, stretching in every direction. Mountains you could climb, cities you could ignore, paths you didn't have to follow. And for a while, that felt like freedom. But today, almost every major game looks like this. Open worlds, endless maps, checklists disguised as exploration, systems layered on top of systems. So, what happened? When did open world games stop being a feature and became the default? Before open worlds became massive, they were rare. And more importantly, they were intentional. Early open-ended games weren't trying to be big. They were trying to be convincing. In The Legend of Zelda, you could go anywhere. But the world didn't guide you. It resisted you. You had to test it, push against it, learn its logic through failure. And in Morrowind, there were no glowing paths, no highlighted routes, just directions like follow the road past the river, then look for a cave near the hills. You weren't tracking objectives, you were building memory. Places mattered because you remember them, not because the game marked them. But that kind of design doesn't scale easily. What happens when millions of players expect clarity? And that tension between freedom and clarity became the foundation of everything that followed. The breakthrough wasn't technical, it was structural. Grand Theft Auto 3 didn't just create a world, it created a loop. Drive, explore, cause chaos, reset. The city wasn't just background, it was the gameplay itself. And that changed expectations. Players didn't just want levels anymore, they wanted places, persistent spaces, reactive systems, worlds that exist beyond the mission. For the first time, you could log into a game without a goal and still have something to do. But scale introduces a new problem. Not just how big the world is, but how empty it feels. And emptiness is something modern design tries to eliminate at all costs. Icons, markers, objectives, completion percentages. Open worlds became structured through repetition. Climb the tower, reveal the map, clear the outpost, collect the item, unlock the next region. Repeat. This wasn't accidental, it was scalable design. A system that could be replicated across maps, understood instantly by players, expanded without redesigning the core loop. And it worked, because it reduced uncertainty. You always knew what to do next, where to go, what you were missing. But clarity comes at a cost. If everything is visible, what's left to uncover? And slowly, exploration became navigation. At the same time, player expectations changed. Open worlds didn't just offer freedom, they offered time. More hours, more content, more perceived value. 100+ hours of gameplay. That became the benchmark. And publishers leaned into it, because bigger worlds meant longer engagement, stronger marketing hooks, higher perceived return on investment. And for a while, it delivered. Worlds felt massive, stories felt layered, exploration felt endless. But scale changes how content is built, not handcrafted, but systemized. And that shift changed how worlds were experienced. This is where the real shift happened. Not when open worlds became popular, but when they became expected. Franchises that were once linear became open. Not because they needed to, but because not being open felt like a limitation. Level-based design started to feel outdated, even when it wasn't, even when it served the gameplay better. And sometimes the scale worked, but other times it diluted what made those games unique. Because not every experience benefits from openness. Some are built around pacing, control, precision. And when those are removed, the experiences change fundamentally. A few years ago, something changed again. Games like The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild and Elden Ring stepped away from density. They didn't remove scale. They redefined interaction. Less icons, less instructions, less interruption, more trust in the player. You weren't following systems anymore. You were following curiosity, landmarks, silhouettes, instinct. And that raises a different question. Not how big a world should be, but how much it should say. Because silence can be as powerful as guidance. At the beginning, open worlds felt like freedom. A space without edges, a system without control, a world that didn't need permission. And today, they're everywhere. Standardized, expected, refined into systems that prioritize clarity over mystery. But maybe that was never the goal. Not bigger worlds, not longer playtime, not more content. Just a feeling of stepping into something unknown, of not knowing what's over the next hill, of getting lost and not being corrected. And maybe the question was never, why did open worlds take over? But instead, when did we stop trusting players to explore them? New case files release every Monday, Wednesday and Friday.